they're clean offers, and they're asking exactly what possession do you want, and you're paying tomorrow's prices for what you're getting today.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, these ones will be the exact comparables that our spring market's going to be using.
Yeah. And I guess when people are watching this, we're not suggesting that this is what you have to do, because you have to do what's comfortable and what's best for you. We're just saying what we see winning out on these multiple offers.
For sure. And like you said, that there's ways that we can make an offer more presentable. If it's doing the conditions in half the amount of times that other realtors are doing, having, all of our ducks in a row, people being able to put their best foot forward. All those kind of things make a big difference right off the bat.
It's dealing with professional lenders that understand time requirements on these.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes they can actually do removals in 2 to 3 days, but that comes with a lot of preparation and them doing work before we maybe even submit that offer, so that we know exactly what's going on.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Keys. I am here with my brother Gregg Bamford, having a little chit chat here. We're going to discuss what's happening in Saskatoon's market at the start of March here.
Yeah, so things have, I guess, picked up a little bit from where they were mid-February. Mid-February, we were seeing numbers of, I think it was 38% that were selling at or over list price. As of just a couple of days ago, I believe we're at 57% of listings that are selling are at or above list price. Right. So that's a big increase. You're seeing 23% were presentation of offers, up from, I believe it was 10% mid-February. So that's a big change in the market, and especially since we only have 382 properties that are currently listed, 177 so I guess 382 that are active, and then 177 that are conditionally sold.
Right.
And I think that you were mentioning just before we started this that we had only 294 of those were single family homes,
yeah,
right?
About 88 being condos. So basically we're looking at, roughly 380 properties for a population of over 300,000 people.
For sure, and it doesn't seem to be changing, right?
No.
And it's historically, it's kind of weird because we would never normally see this, right? Because we started the year, and we said this even last month, we started at, I think, 429 in January. And historically, we just keep on climbing into higher inventory levels. But right now, we're getting record-breaking listings, but just as many are selling.
Yeah, and they're coming off the market as fast as they're coming on.
Yeah, I think the highest number I saw were active listings one day was 391. Right. And so it's like we're just not even coming close to breaking that 400, which this time of year, what would you say you would say in a normal year where we'd be at?
1,800.
You think this time of year? I was thinking maybe more like 12,
maybe once we
14,
get into March March and April, right? But at the same time,
14,
I do think that balanced market in Saskatoon is probably around that 1,800 active listings in Saskatoon. But we're seeing full spring market that's in full bore right now. Interest rates are going down. We still are, obviously in supply deficit, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of buyers that are waiting to list their homes. And so with no inventory coming up, I mean, we're looking at, we continue to meet with builders, and I mean, they're going to bring more to market, but I just don't see how they can really help with the inventory levels. Because a lot of these properties that they're selling that are on, they're like spec builds, and their possessions are going to be August and fall right now.
Right, and they're all pre-sold.
And they're all pre-sold.
Yeah, and prices are going up as they're selling one, is that they're increasing each property by $3,000 or $4,000 for all the builders, right? But which is logical, is that I do think that we're probably going to see prices actually increase, like depending on, I don't want to get into politics and that kind of stuff, but if we have tariffs and those kind of things, I think that the demands here is that we're probably just going to have the prices increase in material.
Right.
Right. So interest rates are coming down. We just saw another, 25 points drop, and I do think that that's going to probably continue. I will have a mortgage broker on to kind of clarify that a little bit more, but all in all is that this market is going to be hot, and you need to be on top of it, have your I's dotted, your T's crossed, and be ready to move, and maybe keeping the kids at daycare for a little bit extra longer so you can go see that property You don't have the market.
It is
doesn't
true.
wait
People
for you.
just don't have the luxury to be able to do it when they have time. They have to make it a priority, right?
For sure.
And I think that we're going to get to a market, and I know people aren't probably going to love what I'm going to say right now, but it's going to get to a market to where we're seeing things sell with no conditions. And so it's figuring out financially, how do you do that, and what does buying a property look like without any home inspection? I mean, we just sold one on 5th Street where the highest offer had no conditions.
Right.
And so,
and we're talking about a home that could probably use a home inspection.
Well, the thing is, like, when you're looking at a property that's in the 200s on the east side of the city, like, I mean, most properties could use a home inspection, right? And it's just, but at the same time, if you put those conditions on a property, you're probably leaving yourself out unless you've got a lot higher offer than everybody else has.
For sure.
And I mean, again, we don't suggest our clients go in without doing a home inspection. We're just saying what the options are going forward. And if you keep on seeing more presentation of offers going into the spring, like we went from 8% of presentation of offers to 10% to now almost 25% within 3 months in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
That means that by spring, I see probably 50%. I could probably say by end of April, 50% of properties are presentation of offers.
It very well could be. And usually, like you said, the winning ones, they might not have a financing condition. They might not have, a home inspection. They're clean offers. They're asking you exactly what possession do you want, and you're paying tomorrow's prices for what you're getting today. Because at the end of the day, these ones will be the exact comparables that our spring market's going to be using.
Yeah. And I guess when people are watching this, we're not suggesting that this is what you have to do, because you have to do what's comfortable and what's best for you. We're just saying what we see winning out on these multiple offers. And if there's 7 offers and this is it, then the seller's always going to take the highest offer with the least amount of conditions.
For sure. And like you said, that there's ways that we can make an offer more presentable. If it's doing the conditions in half the amount of times that other realtors are doing, having, all of our ducks in a row, people being able to put their best foot forward, all those kind of things make a big difference right off the bat.
It's dealing with professional lenders that understand time requirements on these.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes they can actually do removals in 2 to 3 days, but that comes with a lot of preparation and them doing work before we maybe even submit that offer, so that we know exactly what's going on, right? And so it's about the preparation in today's market of like how this looks, because I mean, we have, let's say, so we have under 400 listings. You have 760 realtors. If there's properties being presented and you have, let's say, 52 showings and you have 18 offers, now there's 17 people that just missed out on that property, and they're going to be looking at, okay, now that property is now worth more than what they thought it was. Now what happens to the next property, right? And
For sure.
And you can only, like as we suggest clients do, it's like you put in the best offer that you can, that you're comfortable with. We'll give you what we think it's going to be, but it has to be the right property so that if it's gone tomorrow, you're not going to be upset, right? And so those are things that we, I guess, have to navigate and figure out with those specific clients of what they're willing to do. But I do believe that the prices are going up this year.
I have no doubt about it. I think that we're probably going to see a little bit more of a drastic jump than what we have in the past years.
Right.
Like we've been kind of around that, say 8 to 9 for the last couple of years of percentage, and I think that we're probably going to be close to that 12 to 15, depending on what kind of properties it is, right? But there's a lot of things that are in high demand right now, and like when it's sold at 4 o'clock on the first day that it comes out, is that you just know that people are putting in the right offers and that are making people sign on the dotted line right off the bat.
I think the other thing is that construction costs are going up so much, like land as well too, right? Both of those, I guess, right? And a lot of times people don't understand construction costs, and that's going to go up, I think, with tariffs and so forth. So when you're saying those properties sell for so much higher than what they're priced at, it's because they're ready. ready move-in properties, right? Like when you look into it, you don't have to do any work. So you're going to then maximize by buying that property, because a lot of these other properties, you might have to, I mean, in today's world, a dated property might not be something that needs to be done, but it could be cosmetic. But that cosmetic upgrades, like a new kitchen or bathrooms and so forth, they cost a fortune.
For sure. And I think a lot of it's, you got to be looking at, it's not always about the comparable. We use the comparisons a lot, but it's also about replacement costs.
Right.
You know, like, so if somebody's looking at coming in and finding that $400,000 house, you could spend $150,000, $200,000 very quickly on updating that home and to bring it up to today's standards, right? So I think
that's if they can find the trades and the contractors to actually do it, right?
I get it. And in the last couple of years, as we've seen those costs almost double, right? So I think that for a lot of consumers or buyers and sellers out there, is that to have that justification and to be able to understand that takes a little bit of time, right? So our job is to look at the big picture and to be able to say, okay, here's the comparables, but this is what it's going to cost to do it. What is the replacement cost on it? Can we find these lots? What kind of demand is it there? And then how many offers we're dealing with? Right? Like, what are we competing against? Because when you take all those factors into the situation, is that you come up with a different result rather than looking at what that comparable did down the street. You know, that could have been sold in January, and I know our market is not what it was in January.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year, and I mean, we don't want to put fear into people's, but things are becoming unaffordable for a lot of families, right? And even townhouses and so forth, just where the price points are going, I mean, they're just a lot more than what they were. And the thing is that with the builders, I don't see a lot of builders building the townhouse developments. And if they are, like, I mean, I think we were just looking at a townhouse development by Northridge that we just put an offer on it with a client. And I think that they have 3 units done, and then they won't have any new units for a townhouse till next January.
Right. It's also the land, the infrastructure, like where, you know, a lot of those parcels have been developed already. Right. So putting in new infrastructure and getting like Homewood going and different things like that. Our city's at that point where we need those new neighborhoods, just with the demand that we're having. Like, you look at Brighton and it's almost back to the freeway again. Railroad tracks and freeway, it's pretty close.
I think they're pretty much almost maxed out there now, right?
You look at the Meadows, is that they're almost out to, you know, the shopping centers out there now. You know, they're putting up the berms and that kind of thing. So is it we're in a supply deficit, and I don't think that's going to end. I know we don't want to scare people, but at the same time, is that, you know, our clients, they come to us to be able to break it all down, look at the big picture, and try to set them up to what's going to be a great way for them to move forward that's going to be best for them and their family. Within their means, right?
Yeah, like, and meeting their timeline, right? At the same time, as like, if you've got a property that is a bungalow, I think those properties will just keep on going up because supply and demand. If you have a 2-story and you're looking for a bungalow, I don't think those 2 stories are going to go up to the same rate as a bungalow is. So I think that they'll price out a little bit differently. Right? So there is a timeline. So as long as you're in the market, I guess you stay in it, but one property is going to be better for resale in the long run.
Of course, always has been, you know, but at the same time that's our job to be able to navigate that and tell them, you know, what to expect in the next coming months, because you only get, you know, is it missing out on 2 or 3 properties could cost you $20,000, $30,000.
Right.
When you're looking at, you know, and that might not be, doesn't mean that's all happening in a week, but a lot of these good properties you might be waiting 2 months to find that right one. You miss one, another one comes up in a month. You know, you could be 6 months down the road where you actually find that right one and actually seal the deal.
But you just have to be prepared and done all the work ahead of time.
You do.
If somebody wants to start the process and wants to work with us, where does it start?
Well, it starts with us sitting down with them. Is it to get an idea of the overview of what their goals are. Right, and then from there is that we would, you know, try to put in a strategic plan to be able to help them succeed in that, and keeping in mind their timelines, their family. It does make it a lot more difficult because we are a little bit more reliant on what's coming to the market, right? So a lot of things in past years have been able to happen a little bit quicker. At the same time, is that we just we got to put, you know, all the legwork in first, and to be able to have our I's dotted, T's crossed, and then when that right house comes up, is that people got to be ready to win, not just put in an offer.
Another thing that we also look at too is when you're looking at the buying side and doing everything that Ryan just kind of talked about, was also doing an evaluation on your property and letting you know your worst case and best case scenario so that you can make an educated decision and you don't need to make it subject to your property selling because you won't win out. And then it's also preparing your property so that your property shows the best that it possibly can. But doing this over a time frame makes it easier for you, but then you're ready to be able to list it as soon as you find that other property. I mean, we market properties within season, so we're not going to pre-do outside exterior photos and all the rest of it. We'll take them as soon as that I guess they bought a property so that everything's as updated as possible, right? So that helps you on both sides.
We have a quick turnaround, really, if once they've done the prep work.
Yeah.
You know, for us, is it so a lot of times we'll send in our interior designer to go through, do room by room details of the property. If it's paint touch-ups, if it's, you know, depending on the year, maybe some landscaping cleaning up and different things like that. And we're going to have all those kind of things, you know, told to the client, them can be working on it as we're looking for a property, just so, like you said, when we do find that one, we're ready to move.
Yeah, first impressions are everything. And just as we mentioned, like those properties that when all those little things are done, they're going to sell at a premium and sell way higher than probably what we think they should sell for, because it seems like everything's overpriced right now, right? But
I had a conversation with a client today, and he's saying, you know, what do you think my house is worth? And I was like, you know, we did an evaluation probably last year, or probably about last year, and I said, you know, about 700, you know, depending on where the market is. But I said, if you put in, you know, 25,000, we can probably increase that to probably closer to 50 when somebody's actually move-in ready. We've done the countertops, we've painted the cabinetry, we've done a full exterior paint job, and it's move-in ready for somebody, right? So it's kind of funny, but like as they're waiting for the market to grow, is that we're probably closer to that 800 by the time you start doing everything now, right?
So at first you're going to double your money, and now you've made your house way more saleable, made it open, made it more attractive to a lot more buyers, and you're going to get now 4 times the amount back on it.
Well, I think that the market, there's increase in the timeline on the market as well too, where the market's went.
That's what I'm saying. So it's also time as well. But
yeah, but it's like if we can be telling people to, you know, put in 10, 15,000 and be getting 30 out of it, that's where we show a lot of value to our clients as well. And we have the people that can do the work for you too, right?
We're doing the same thing on a property right now in Briarwood.
Right.
So the property was a rental property, very nice property, but the cabinets needed painting, the trim needed done, the basement needed to be painted, and same with the whole upstairs.
Yeah.
At the same time, once that's all done, so we want to spend as minimal amount of money on your property to get you the best return, but then it'll also increase the amount of buyers because it's just a move-in ready home, right?
For sure. And that's where we're getting top dollar for it. And just like you mentioned before, it's really tough to find those contractors. If you're not giving them business constantly, you're not even on the list for them to phone back.
It was crazy. I talked to, our painter, and I just said, he's just like, man, I'm busy. And I said, oh, okay, well, I really appreciate you giving us a quote here. And I said, when can you start? And he's like, well, we'll start tomorrow if and I was like, oh, okay. So I mean, it comes with experience. It comes with our relationships with our contractors, and at the same time, we've done this from a long time. We sold a lot of new homes and so forth. So with our experience, we know these little things that our buyers over the time period would pick apart. So we look at it from 2 perspectives, right? We look at it from a buyer's perspective, and we look at it from a seller's perspective. And so when we go into a property, those are the things that we try to show the seller and the buyer of kind of where the value lies.
Yeah. It goes a long way, you know. I know it's been, and also it might not just be the value, it might be the timelines. The cleaner the offer, you might be getting a lot more because you have more people interested at that one time. Like you're saying, you only get one first impression, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's going to be a busy spring. If you have any questions for Ryan or I, or if you would like an evaluation, or if you'd like us to help you purchase a property, we'd be happy to sit down with you and go over our process from the very beginning to the very end and kind of explain what your options are. These are just kind of highlights of what we do on a daily basis. It's also, Ryan calls it education day. So sometimes taking you out there and showing you what's on the market too helps you understand where we're going with things. And our job is to help you navigate the market. So if you'd like to work with us, give either Ryan or I a call. We'd be happy to work with you. Thanks again for joining Bamford & Co. Beyond the Keys podcast. We love bringing new information to the city of Saskatoon. We want to be your go-to people for real estate for us and the team. So thanks a lot, and have a great day.